Shulker cloning has arrived on Minecraft Bedrock Edition, meaning that it is now possible to create a super simple and easy shulker farm for infinite shulker shells. This system right here is incredibly easy to build and super duper cheap, and as you can see, it is producing just a ton of shulker shells automatically for you. This farm right here will produce about 170 shells per hour, or roughly 2.8 shulker shells per minute, which doesn't sound great, but that's about all that's possible given the current mechanics. Of course, if you want better rates, you can just build multiple of these farms. 4 of these things will give you 680 shulker shells per hour, which is actually a fair amount for how much effort goes into it. Of course, this is a fully featured shulker farm. These guys over here will never die. These guys will never die or despawn or anything like that, and you'll basically never need to worry about it once you have it set up. It is relog proof and all of those good things. There's no real way of optimizing these farms at the moment besides allowing these shulker bullets to always hit another shulker. Sometimes the shulker bullets will just fly off and hit a wall, and that slightly decreases your rates, but I don't think there's a way to really prevent that at the moment. The other main way of optimizing these farms is preventing these snowballs from hitting the shulker bullets. If it hits the shulker bullet, that deletes the bullet. So of course, this is all in the most recent beta 1.18.30.23, so the mechanics are slightly wonky at the moment, and I'm sure that they're going to get changed, so there's probably going to be an improved version of this farm releasing sometime in the future. However, as it stands, right now the mechanics are fairly straightforward. A shulker needs to shoot another shulker using its shulker bullets, and then it has a very small chance of cloning itself and teleporting to a different location. Whenever a shulker kills another shulker, the one being killed has a 100% chance of cloning. So that means that whenever this guy dies, as you see, a new one spawns in its place, and that is the only mechanic that actually allows us to farm them reliably at the moment. Technically, every time they get hit, they have a very small chance of cloning, but if you gave them a large platform to teleport to, then they would simply break the farm. One of the main issues is that these guys have an incredibly small chance of actually dropping a shulker shell. It appears to be like less than 25% chance of dropping one shell. So as you can see, the rates could be a lot higher if they actually dropped more shulker shells. We're also missing a mechanic where shulkers can shoot themselves and clone themselves, so any shulker farm requires at least 2 shulkers. You can't just start with 1 and then get 2. Basically, every shulker that you want in your farm, you're gonna have to manually grab from an end city. If you want to build a shulker farm, I have a couple of tips for you. First of all, go through all of your available end city gateways. If you've killed multiple dragons, then you'll have multiple of these things, and basically you're looking for the one that takes you closest to an end city. Sometimes they'll drop you out right in front of an end city, and that would be ideal. Basically, the closer they get you to shulkers, the more convenient it will be to use your farm. Some very useful things to know is that shulkers cannot teleport to or stay on lower or upper slabs, glass, solid blocks that are covered in buttons, hoppers, or leaves, so you are safe to build out of all of these things wherever you want to, and shulkers will never teleport to them. Once you find yourself a suitable end city, you'll need to build yourself a rail line using upper slabs. Basically, this rail line is just going to be going out over the void. You should be about 30 or so blocks away from any form of land. The materials list for this build is down in the description of the video. I would recommend bringing out extra materials in case you lose some in the void. The foundation of your farm is just a single chest and a hopper, but if you feel like it, then I would recommend building yourself a little platform of leaves just below the farm. That way, if you fall off, then you don't go straight into the void. To build up the rest of the farm, place in a fence post right there and then a piece of rail on top of that hopper. You may need to straighten that rail so it's facing into the fence post. Place in yourself a minecart hopper on top of that and then nudge it into the fence. And now we need ourselves a couple of solid blocks above that. We want ourselves buttons on the front and back side of those blocks, and then get yourself 4 slabs going to the left like so, and 4 slabs going to the right. We're going to place in 2 trapdoors right there, and then a piece of soul sand, and do that on the opposite side as well. You can now go ahead and remove these 3 slabs if you want to. If you do remove the slabs, then of course make sure to place in a button right there and right there to prevent teleportation. This is basically the foundation of the build, and now we just need to put some walls going around it. So place in a temporary block right here, and then blocks on every side of it. Pillar it up by 2, so that's a nice little enclosure, and then simply have a couple blocks right there as well. Place some glass blocks to the sides of these trapdoors on either side, pillar that up by 2, and then do that exact same process on the other side. Once you have all this installed, we need to go ahead and put a couple of glass blocks on the back side. Leave the front open so that we can actually get shulkers in there. And then place in yourself a button right there and a button right there. And now we need to put a slab roof above the entirety of this thing, going all the way across. Leave either end open so we can drop in snow golems. And now we need a couple buttons directly above these trapdoors right here. That kind of helps the projectiles hit the shulkers instead of flying off into that direction. Once you have all the buttons installed, place in a water source above either soul sand, and that again helps your snow golems stay alive. It's very important to remember to put a button on the underside of your soul sand. Do that for either side, otherwise you'll have shulkers teleporting here. And now we're ready to install the shulkers. So go ahead and remove yourself of these buttons right here, and we need ourselves a temporary rail line going up into this area. Make sure you have enough powered rail to actually propel the minecart into this holding zone. We're just going to drop the minecart right here, break it, and then the shulker should teleport to that exact spot. Grabbing a shulker from the front of the city is really easy. You just build a rail line up next to it and then place a minecart next to it, and as you can see, it gets right on in. Simply nudge that a little bit and it should be well on its way to go into your shulker farm. Once you have one on the left side, go ahead and remove your rails, put a wall right there, and then redirect your rails to go onto the right side, and then do that exact same process to grab yourself another shulker. Once you have 2 shulkers in here, go ahead and remove all of your rails, put in your wall right there, and then you need to make sure that everything in the area is teleport proof. So put your buttons back onto these blocks right here, and now for the fun part, you need to open up this wall and quickly break this minecart. That should teleport it right down, and then do that for the other one. It should teleport straight down as well. To finish up the farm, all we need to do is go to the left side, place in 2 pieces of snow, and then a pumpkin above that. That'll drop in a snow golem, and then you simply put a slab above it. Do that on the opposite side as well, and you are officially good to go for having a shulker farm. You should be safe to AFK in this area as long as there's no enderman, and no shulker bullets will ever escape this farm either. And as you can see, just a couple seconds later, we've gotten ourselves 3 shulker shells. So I would highly recommend that you build multiple of these farms. That way you can actually get a reasonable amount of shulker shells. 3 per minute is not worth AFKing for. And if you want to expand the farm, then again, this is basically all there is to it. You just take all the hopper lines and combine them into one chest somewhere. There is some attention issues with these snow golems. That is why you need to install them after you install the shulkers. If you installed them before, then this guy over here could be looking at the shulkers in the other cells, and that would kind of break your farm. So always install your snow golems after you install the shulkers, and you shouldn't have issues with them looking where they shouldn't. If you like today's tutorial, then drop a like as it helps out the video on the channel a ton. If you're new here, then maybe consider subscribing to help us reach 500,000, and otherwise I'll see you guys down in the comment section and in the next one. And then there was silence.